Hello everyone, this is a course to learn the basics of C programming language. Today, we are going to learn about function. Here's the contents of today's lecture. In the first section, we are going to learn what function is, the scope of variables, and recursive curve. Then, we are going to solve one example and wrap it up. Let's start with the function. Function can be defined as a set of program codes designed independently to perform a special purpose operations. So, why do we use functions? The main reason for using functions is that we can avoid repetitive programming. Also, when you write a program divided into several functions, modularity improves the readability of the overall code. Let's see how to define the function. When we define a function, we should write the return type of the function, the name of the function, the parameter of the function, and the content of the function. In this example, the blue part int is the return type of a function. It specifies the type of data that the function returns after completing our operations. The red part sum is the name of a function. We can call this function by its name. The green part x, y is the parameter of a function. It specifies the variables to store the values of the arguments passed when function is called. And finally, inside the bracket, a set of statements that performs a function, unique operation, is defined. Next part is scope of variables. Depending on the declaration location of a variable, its effective range when it is returned, whether it is initialized, and where it is stored change. This is the scope of variable. In C language, variables can be divided as local variable, global variable, static variable, and register variable based on the above characteristics. Local variable means a variable declared within a block. They are valid only within the block in which they are declared and disappears from memory when the block is terminated. Local variables are stored in the stack area of memory and initialized to meaningless value if not initialized. The parameters of a function are also treated as local variables defined within the function. Global variable means a variable declared outside the function. Global variables are accessible anywhere in the program and disappear from memory when the program terminates. Global variables are stored in the data area of memory and are automatically initialized to 0 without having to be directly initialized. Static variable means a variable declared with the static keyword. Static variables have the characteristics of both local and global variables. They declared within a function are initialized only once, as in global variables, and disappear from memory only when the program is terminated. In addition, they can only be accessed within their functions, such as local variable. Register variable is a variable declared with the register keyword. They are stored in the CPU's register memory for quick access. However, because the registers on your computer are very small amounts of memory, it is often difficult to declare in this area. In this case, the C compiler declares the variables as just the local variables. Next is the recursive call. Recursive call refers to the act of a function calling itself again within a function. Recursive calls are repeated endlessly because they call themselves again and again. Therefore, you must include a statement within the function that will change the condition to stop recursive calls. Lastly, let's practice with what we learned today. The goal is to make a function that returns bigger parameter. Since we have to make a function, first we will define the function named bignum with a return type integer. This function will get two integer parameters which we have to compare. We will declare these two integer parameters as num01 and num02. Then compare those variables using if statement. And finally, we can call the bigger variable. In the main function, we will create a result variable which will store the return value of the big num function. If you print out the result, the example will be solved. Here is the result. Since we gave 1 and 6 as parameters, 6 is printed as a result. This is the end of today's class of C programming language. Thanks for watching this video, and if you have any questions, please leave comments.